Alright, let's go ahead and break down the Team Art of Fighting trailers, starting with King. As usual, I'm mainly focusing on what's new in 15 compared to 14. So they gave her back her forward B command normal. When used as a standalone move, this is an overhead that could go over fireballs. It can be comboed into, but in the older games, King wasn't able to get anything afterwards because she didn't have any air specials back then. But in this game, she now has her aerial venom strike back. So aerial venom strike was something that she used to have in 13. They took it out in 14 and it seems like it's back again in 15. Also notice how the grounded version of EX Venom Strike is 2 shots while it's 1 shot in the air, which pretty much confirms that we have a grounded and aerial version of Venom Strike. So here we have an auto combo. This isn't new for King and it's not specific to King. This is a universal mechanic that was introduced in 14. So just pointing out that auto combos are back in 15 even though nobody really uses them. So next up we have a new mid-screen combo for King, which is by far probably one of the best demonstrations of a combo using an EX special to juggle. This combo does work in 14, but you have to end a combo with far C instead of trap shoot. If you try to do this combo in the corner, you could still get trap shoot, but it has to be the EX version. So for King to be able to do this combo mid-screen in 15 is really going to help her damage output. So that's all the changes for King. My final thoughts is that she's going to be very strong in 15. If her aerial venom strike has the same freedom as it did in 13, she's going to be a very annoying zoner to deal with. But close up she has a threat of an overhead, and if you're careless with your reversals or rolls, she's going to make you pay with a new damaging mid-screen combo. So yeah, I think King players are going to be very happy with these changes. Next up we got Robert and Ryo. So because this is a 2-for-1 trailer, I'm just going to break down both characters at once. As usual, just covering new things in the order that they appear. Starting off, we got a new mechanic here, which we'll just call the armored blowback for now. So here's what we know about this so far. It's got a purple activation glow, very distinct compared to the red and blue glows we've seen so far. It's got at least 1 hit of super armor. It wall bounces if you hit an aerial opponent, and it crumples if you hit a grounded opponent. So you get a combo either way. So this definitely has to cost bar. I mean, we're talking about a defensive mechanic that grants you a full combo on hit. So one of the questions surrounding this new mechanic is this punishable? I think it's impossible to tell from the trailer, but let's entertain the question. So at first it seems like Ryo wasn't able to punish in time, but if you slow the video down, you can see Ryo stands up clearly out of block stun at this point, and then crouches again to use crouching C. In other words, he's not acting as fast as possible out of block stun, so his crouching C is actually late in the punish attempt, and that's why he eats a DP from Robert instead. Just to be clear, we're just saying Ryo's punish is late, not necessarily that the armored blowback is punishable, because we don't know that for sure yet. But it is worth pointing out that a regular blowback has an insane amount of push block in the previous games. If you go back to this clip, you can see there is very little push block here. But this is a very different game we're talking about here, and we haven't seen the push block on a grounded blowback in 15 just yet. But looking at the push block of other moves we've seen so far in 15, you can see that it's way more than the armored blowback. It would make sense for the armored blowback to be punishable as a way to balance this mechanic, but we'll just have to wait and see. In this next clip, you see that Ryo activates this new mechanic right before Robert's Hop D connects. It's impossible to tell if the super armor is active on the first frame, but it's definitely very fast. So why is it important that a super armor activates on the first frame? Because that determines if you can use it as a true reversal. A lot of people make the mistake of treating armored moves as invincible moves, and they try to use it as a reversal option. The problem with this assumption is that invincibility always activates from the beginning of the move. This isn't always the case with super armor. In this example, Maximus Vapor Cannon doesn't armor through projectiles if he's doing it too late. There are only a few moves that have super armor from the very beginning, like the B version of Clark's Command Grab or the C version of King of Dinosaurs. Now let's go back to the armored blowback. Can we use it as a true reversal? It's hard to say for sure, but given how fast the super armor activates, it's looking pretty likely. So here's another observation. Notice how Robert and Ryo get a full combo off of a crumple state. If you try to do this in 14, the result is an air reset. So why is this worth pointing out? Because Terry's EX power charge in this game puts them in a crumple state. When I first saw this, I was wondering what kind of combo would he get out of this? I guess he could go straight into EX power dunk, but if you're going to use 2 bars, it's better to start with EX power dunk first and then go into burn knuckle into a super cancel. But if he can get a full standing combo off of a crumple state, then that means he could do a full string into EX power dunk for huge damage. Of course, this all depends on whether or not the crumple state of EX power charge and the armor blowback mechanic are treated the same. Moving on, we got a major change for Ryo. His forward A is now special cancelable. This move has never been special cancelable outside of HD mode or O2 max mode. You could super cancel from it in 14, but that's a waste of bar when you can go into max mode instead. So this is a really good change for Ryo because his hit confirms aren't as easy as other characters. Next up, we have a returning move for Ryo, his quarter circle back punches. In the older games, this move left the opponent standing on a hit, but it was plus enough for Ryo to combo into his half circle back kicks. It'll be interesting to see if you can combo in the corner from a wall stick blowback or what the EX properties are like in 15. Switching over to Robert, we got his air special dive kick, which is not new, but something's missing. What happened to his special effects around his leg from 14? And by the way, this is not the only move with missing special effects. In 14, King's Trap Shoot and Tornado Kick had some blue effects, but you don't see it anymore in 15. People like me are just happy to see another KoF, but I think it's fair to say that 15 can still look better, and it's not beyond SNK's ability to do so. But either way, I'm not too concerned because SNK is responsive to feedback, and they did do a major graphical update to 14 when it came out, so I'm pretty sure they'll end up doing the same for 15. Anyways, moving on to another big change for Ryo. His EX Fireball is now a full screen projectile. In 14, EX Fireball was just a faster version of his regular Fireball and recovered quickly enough for him to combo afterwards or be plus on block, but now it's been repurposed as a full screen projectile. This isn't completely new to him. In 98, EX Ryo had a full screen projectile instead of the usual firewall. Anyways, I think this is a great functional change to Ryo's EX Fireball. He's probably going to lose the ability to combo mid-screen from it, but now that the game is closer to 13's system where EX moves are freely available outside of max mode, it's actually more optimal to use EX half circle back kicks, but the problem is that this move is very punishable on block, and so the only way to hit confirm into it was off of lights or standing D thanks to its generous cancel window, but this required more precision compared to having a special cancelable command normal. That's why EX Fireball was preferable to use as an EX move back then, because it was easy to convert on hit, but safe on block. But now that he has 2 hits to confirm into EX half circle back kicks, you really don't need the old EX Fireball anymore. Now you can use it to contest opponents from full screen. I think the way SNK repurposed this EX move was very smart. Switching over to Robert, we have a new change in the property of his EX Gene Kaku, which you'll see here. You'll notice that it now has the Anywhere Juggle property. So what do I mean by this? If you tried to do this combo in 14, the EX Gene Kaku will not connect because the close normal air resets Ryo, in other words putting him in a non-juggle state, so you can't hit him anymore until he lands on the ground. But there are a few moves in this game such as Ryo's EX Zanretsuken that allow you to hit the opponent in this non-juggle state. Takumo also had this in 13, but it was more useful here because he could freely use this outside of max mode. So why is this a big deal for Robert? Because now he can combo in the corner into forward A, special cancel into his dive kick, and then air reset into EX Gene Kaku. Now this is just one example, so imagine all the new possibilities for him in 15. So my closing thoughts on these trailers. Armor Blowback is a very interesting, bold new mechanic to introduce in 15. I think it's too early to make any snap conclusions about the mechanic until we've tested everything discussed in this video. Robert and Ryo, they look amazing. The changes that we saw compared to 14 are big in a good way. The trailers from a presentation standpoint are also getting better. Most of what we've seen here are closer to actual gameplay footage and not so much the jump cuts where you can barely analyze anything. The combos they're also showing off are way better and optimal than what we've seen up so far. The best takeaway from this is that we'll probably see another double character trailer in the future, something like Clark and Ralph. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Team Art of Fighting in King of Fighters 15, and who do you think is going to be revealed next?